John Wick shoots this guy with a shotgun and half the guy's head explodes. I mean, come on. So John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum is the third John Wick film. It picks up right where Chapter 2 left off. John Wick broke the rules. He killed somebody on continental grounds. So now he's on the run because there is a $14 million bounty on his head. And he's just got to survive the criminal underworld because everybody is coming after him. Talking about a new John Wick film is almost like talking about a new Fast and Furious film, because you go to these films and you want them to deliver a specific feeling. And when the film delivers that specific feeling, you're like, yeah, it's just more of the same. If you like the previous films, you'll like this film. And in John Wick's case, you want to see John Wick going around and killing a whole bunch of guys in incredibly brutal and incredibly gratifying manner. And John Wick Chapter 3 gives you that in spades. There are so many times during this film where I audibly gasped and I was like, oh my god, because the deaths in this film are just so unbelievably satisfying in a really badass way, where you're actually laughing because of how satisfying it is. Like, there's this fight scene early on in the film, like 15-20 minutes into it, where John Wick is fighting a bunch of these guys in this attic above a shop. There's loads of knives and stabby weapons around, and the kills in here, like John Wick throws a knife into one guy, gets a knife, stabs another guy in the face, and he just throwing loads of knives into one guy. Like, this guy has like 5 knives sticking out of his chest, and then just finishes him off with one more knife to the face, and then he gets an axe and throws it and sticks it in the side of a guy's head. Are you not sold already? I seriously don't think I'm ever going to get bored of watching John Wick brutally slaughter a bunch of guys in a confined space. And just like the first 2 films, the action sequences, the fight scenes are so brilliantly choreographed. I was just so in awe at the way the camera was moving through the action, the way the stunt work was going on through the action and how the camera was moving through it. The actors, the stunt people, they all do incredible jobs, and it's so convincing. And that's what you come to expect from John Wick, like I was saying earlier. Both the incredibly satisfying brutal deaths, as well as the great cinematography, the great camera work, and just the great overall execution of the action sequences. And the cinematography of the whole film in general is actually quite striking, whether it's the New York City streets that are being lit up by the neon signs and the rain and the wet pavement, or when John Wick goes to the desert landscapes look really grand and really well shot. So even in the film's downtime, when there's no action going on, you've still got some really good stuff to look at and appreciate. And John Wick is not the only person kicking ass in here. Halle Berry's in the film, albeit briefly, a lot less than I thought she would be. But when she's there, she throws down almost just as good as John Wick does. There's this big set piece where she and John Wick fight a bunch of guys in this marketplace in Casablanca. Halle Berry's got her little dogs who have gone into battle as well, and she's there popping headshots just like John Wick's popping headshots alongside her. It was an awesome action sequence. Halle Berry kicks ass, and honestly, if they wanted to do it, I'd be down for a spin-off with Halle Berry's character. In the end, John Wick Chapter 3 knows what you want, and it delivers exactly what you want and then some. I mean, it's not like the most compelling narrative, the dialogue isn't the best or anything like that, but you don't go to John Wick for dialogue and you don't go to it necessarily for story. The story is interesting, it's got some great exploration of the John Wick underworld, which is another thing I loved about the film as well, more corners of the criminal underworld being explored. But what you come to this film for is a non-stop kinetic thrill ride with a badass protagonist killing a bunch of guys in incredibly badass, awesome, bloody, brutal, satisfying fashion. And again, Chapter 3 gives you that and then some. In terms of pure enjoyment, this is probably my favourite John Wick film so far. Have you guys seen John Wick Chapter 3? What did you think about it? And what's been your favourite John Wick film so far? Whatever your thoughts are, tell me down there. And if you want to know my thoughts on some other stuff, click on one of these and I'll be seeing you.